Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're talking water issues with Assemblyman Rich Delong, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room of the Nevada Builders Alliance. Coverage of the 2025 legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. The Retail Association of Nevada, looking out for business. And by Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Carson City, from the home of the Nevada Builders Alliance. We're delighted to welcome to the program Rich Delong. He's a Republican Assemblyman. Pleasure to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure to be here.
One of the things, of course, that I miss with this session is Pete Goakachia here to talk about water issues and the amount of time he spends driving across the state. Yeah. But you have picked up the mantle as one of the people in the legislature looking at water issues first. And I should say your background, part of your background is you're a geologist.
Correct. Yes.
So you certainly have an interest in natural resources. First of all, as you decided to dive into this, did it overwhelm you a little of how big an issue this really is, water issues across the state?
So, not really. Yes, I'm a geologist. I worked in the mining industry my entire career. Started out as a geologist looking for gold deposits. But most of my career, over the past 3.5 decades, has been actually permitting projects with the state and federal government. And so I've been dealing with water issues almost my entire career. And so I knew it's a challenging topic.
To say the least.
Yes.
To say the
Yes.
least. So let's start out with what are the biggest issues that you're looking at for this session?
So for me personally, I would say the biggest issue is the water issue. I have a bill, AB 419, which looks at the state engineer's permitting process, trying to make some pretty substantial changes into how the state engineer walks through the permitting process before he or she makes a final determination, which then a lot of times ends up going to court. And what I'm trying to do is streamline that process such that there are defined timelines and there's more communication between the applicant, the state engineer, and the protestants before a final decision, so things can be worked out in a more of an administrative process rather than having to go to court. So that has the potential to save both the applicant and the protestants some time and money, because it costs a lot of money to go to court. and then saves the state money because they're having to fight all these court cases.
Okay, and so what kind of support, what kind of resistance are you getting, A, from your colleagues, but B, from the State Water Engineer's Office and people within the water business?
Yeah. So in the building, I'd say the Republicans have been very supportive. I've had interest and discussions with several of my colleagues on the Democrat side. None of them have been willing to sign on to the bill, but they're interested in the topic.
Because?
They haven't really said. So that's a good question. I don't have an answer.
Okay.
As far as outside the building, there is a lot of interest in the process. Actually, let me step back for a second. There are so many people, and you'll hear this in the hearing next week, that everyone has a problem with the state engineer's process. It is broken. It takes too long, too many decisions get appealed. So everyone says, yes, there is a problem, but it's hard to find commonality in coming up with an answer to fix it. So what I've tried to do is I've taken my best stab with some very smart water attorneys to come up with an approach. There's a lot of support, but there is resistance.
From whom?
The Great Basin Water Network doesn't like it. He thinks it gives too much certainty to the applicant. Tumwa has some issues with it. Some of the specifics as far as the approach. We'll continue to talk with everyone about the bill to try and come to resolution so that we can all at least agree on the approach.
Okay, what about the state water engineer himself, state engineer himself?
State engineer has shown a little interest. I've had quite a few discussions with the director of the Department of Conservation. He has put a fiscal note on it, which is going to be a challenge this session.
How much?
Undetermined at this point because of the amendments. So the initial one was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but with revisions to the bill, he hasn't come back to do a final one. And there is an amendment out there that will be heard on the 9th, and the final fiscal note will be established after that. So,
are you optimistic? Actually, the other play that we should bring up is the governor or the governor's office. What are their thoughts on this?
The governor's staff has been supportive of this approach. I don't want to put words in the governor's mouth, but the discussions I've had with staff is they see there's an issue in the Department of Water Resources as far as getting permits issued or getting denials established and having that done in a timely manner. So.
Okay, so now we're talking about water. Is there anything more controversial than water? No.
Probably not.
So, I mean, no matter what you come up with, how is it going to stop lawsuits in the future? Because anybody who's turned down is going to immediately want to litigate.
Well, any change isn't going to eliminate all the lawsuits. The idea is to try and reduce the number of lawsuits so that issues can be worked out before a final determination. So the bill as constructed has the state engineer issuing a preliminary determination that both the applicant and the protestants can review and object to, and then have a hearing on all the facts related to coming up with that preliminary determination. So everyone has an opportunity to vet their issues before a final determination and then potentially going to court.
Okay, Southern Nevada Water Authority, their thoughts?
At this point, they are on the fence.
So neutral at this point?
They're neutral at this point, yes. The mining industry is supportive. Agriculture is supportive. I've talked to several of the NGOs, and they have expressed support. So it isn't a Republican versus Democrat issue. There's a broad spectrum of support.
Okay, and let's go to another portion of water, which is interbasin transfers. Where do you stand on that?
I'm not a proponent of it in a very general sense. State water law does allow minor amounts of interbasin transfer, 250 acre feet per year, without doing a full basin survey, which I see no reason to limit that. But if we're talking about large basin transfers for municipal water, that's a much more challenging situation because you're pitting urban versus rural communities, whether you're talking eastern Nevada or even talking the northern part of Washoe County.
But the other side of that, if I can play devil's advocate here, is that if you're going to have growth in Clark County, you're going to have growth in Washoe County, you're going to need water at some point. I mean, Tumwa certainly has a good drought supply,
Yes,
and,
they do.
and Southern Nevada Water Authority has been doing an amazing job. But, it used to be that we were talking about Clark County being 3 million people. What is the date for 4 million people?
Yes. Or 5.
Really? You think that?
No, I'm speculating. I mean,
okay.
it's going to grow. How much? That's a good question. I think it'll be driven by the availability of housing and then prices. And that may be restricted by the amount of water that's available to build.
Well, the Southern Nevada Water Authority says, for example, that they have accommodated the growth that's going down the 15.
Yes.
And for Ivanpah and the new airport. And, people don't talk a lot about it, but 17,000 acres of development around the airport is a huge amount.
It is.
And that's going to require a lot of water. Now, as I said, Southern Nevada Water Authority says that they've got that covered. But as that growth continues...
They've done an amazing job on water conservation. The issue with interbasin transfers, for me, gets back to an issue that has been discussed a lot, and that is the senior surface water rights in a basin being affected by junior groundwater pumping. And that's an issue that's happening throughout the state. We've seen it in the lower White River flow system. We've seen it in the Humboldt River drainage, where the senior water right holders, which are generally surface water holders, are being affected by groundwater pumping. And I think that's going to be a limiting factor in interbasin transfers, because all the basins that you're looking at pumping groundwater from and delivering them to an urban area have those senior surface water right holders. So unless they're bought out, those water rights are purchased such that they control them and reduce the amount of protests in that, I just see it's going to be difficult under the current Nevada water law to make that happen.
Okay, so let's go to another area, which would be Winnemucca Farms' plans to take the overage from the Humboldt River, in flood times, and sell that. Where does that sit at this point?
I have heard about it. I am not very familiar with it, but to me, that sounds like a water banking approach. And so I think water banking does work as long as it's real water that you're banking rather than paper water. In concept, I think it can work.
We still talk about deep geologic water. Not everybody, but people like me do. And that's, I think, the bulk of the water that's over in eastern Nevada. You've got Utah trying to take water into the Snake Valley from the Nevada side. What are your thoughts on that?
So you're referring to what I would call as a geologist, the deep carbonate aquifer.
Yes.
That
was discovered during the MX missile test.
It exists. It's real.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge underground reservoir.
Right. And the interesting, I'll get to answering your question, but the interesting thing about that aquifer is it's different than the alluvial aquifers in the basin. Current water law doesn't facilitate managing those aquifers differently. We manage aquifers by basin, and the deep carbonate aquifer is a regional system that doesn't behave along basin boundaries or surface water flow boundaries. So we don't really have a good system right now on trying to manage that aquifer different than we do from alluvial aquifers. As far as Utah pumping water from Nevada, I hadn't heard that. I know that they're pumping along the state line.
Well, they would like to.
They would like to, yes, but it's that's going to be a challenge to get through the permitting process.
Okay. One more question on this.
Yes.
Before we go to some other topics.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about the ongoing lawsuit between Coyote Springs LLC and their ability to get water because they were cut off from that.
Right.
And it is a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. Where do you think that is heading?
Well, first thing I'll say is I'm not a lawyer. Okay. And I'm definitely not a water lawyer. And so I don't have a legal answer to that. I know it is a very contentious lawsuit. Both sides believe they have strong grounds to win. But it is, it exemplifies what we've been talking about. Which
isn't it a question of is the water there or not?
Correct.
For that development.
Right.
And does eminent domain apply here?
So my experience with eminent domain has really only been in the mining field, and that has no longer legal in Nevada. And so I'm not sure how eminent domain would apply as it relates to water. The question is the water there ends up being a very technical issue. Currently, the state engineer, under state law, the state engineer's decision about the technical decision about how much water is there is his or hers alone. And there can be discussions between hydrologists and hydrogeologists about whether water's there or isn't, but it really is the state engineer's decision at this point.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Rich Delong after this timeout.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino during the $150,000 Denim and Diamonds giveaways, with cash and free play drawings every Thursday and Saturday, and $30,000 in grand finale giveaways Saturday, May 31st, including a top prize of $20,000 guaranteed. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rich Delong. We had the superintendent of White Pine County School District on the program. You're carrying the bill for them. Where are we with that? Are they going to get a new elementary school?
It's the approach to finance it is an interesting one. I am supportive of that bill. I actually signed on as a co-sponsor. I think it has a chance of getting through the Assembly, maybe through the Senate. It's a very large price tag, using a bonding mechanism rather than direct funding, similar to what happened to the school in Elko County last session.
So are you optimistic?
I'm optimistic that it'll get through, yes.
All right, because it's a very old school.
1913. It is ridiculously old.
And that's not the oldest one.
No, it's not.
All right.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Let's take another break and we'll be right back. As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rich DeLong. All right, let's talk about education.
Yes.
Last session, over $2 billion, I think it was $2,250,000 went to education. What are your thoughts on more money going to education in addition this year?
The short answer is no.
Why?
Why? Because we've given them $2 billion. That's a lot of money. We want to make sure it's being spent correctly. I want to see the money we give get into the classrooms, not into administrative positions, whether it be in K through 12 or even in INSHE. The interesting thing about money is because everyone talks about the fact that Nevada is an underfunded in a per pupil amount compared to the rest of the country. If you look at the rest of the world, when I say world, I'm talking about Western countries, we are at average with those other Western countries. They are outperforming us as far as educating students with that amount of money. Florida, as an example in the U.S., is about the same as what we do, slightly more. Their performance is in the approximately top quarter of the states. So I don't think it's just about money. We're not doing something correctly as far as how we're educating our students. I think we're spending the money in the wrong place.
Okay, well, how would you better appropriate it? And how long does it take? Because, I mean, obviously that's a huge amount of money that was put into the system.
Yeah.
But, you know, in big bureaucracies, it takes a long time for that money to actually not only filter through, but then to see the results from that. Is it fair to say after 2 years, oh, well, it's not working?
Well, I will say that test scores show we continue not to work. I'll put it that way. And there's another way of approaching that same, it's the other side of the coin on that question is we've given them the money. We need to see if that's the correct amount of money. Because all we hear is we just need more money. Every cycle, it's we just need more money. And we continue to not perform well in testing, whether it be reading by 3, whether it be the testing out of 8th grade. We're not doing an adequate job for our students, which is affecting our ability as a state to be attractive, to have companies move here and hire people that are educated or maybe can even read. So.
All right, I just got one more quick question. The film studios for Summerlin, you in favor? Are you against?
I'm very interested in it. So last session, I voted for the A's Stadium. I thought it economically made sense. This has the potential to economically make sense, though I will say the numbers are extremely large. It's
huge.
It's huge. I don't know that we actually know where the bill's going to land when, as far as what if it actually makes it to a work session. So I'm very interested in it.
All right, that's where we have to leave it. I thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. Great to have you on the program.
I appreciate it anytime. Thank you very much.
Please come back.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Coverage of the 2025 legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. The Retail Association of Nevada, looking out for business. And by Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers, come to you from Carson City, from the headquarters of the Nevada Builders Alliance. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching.